But I really question you. Are they just trivializing the sequester by playing like we're just talking about tours and not look at what's happening to real people?
Well, yes, they are. It's just another stunning example of the callous indifference of Republicans to the result and impact of these sequester cuts. I mean, just take, for example, what's happening in my state. $54 million in cuts to primary and secondary education, which is going to mean 750 teachers lose their jobs, 381 special ed teachers, 1,600 kids on subsidized child care, 7,500 kids won't get vaccinations. And Republicans are grousing the loudest about constituents not being able to take White House tours. Today, I got notice from air traffic controllers in my district. They got letters today saying that they would be forced to take 11 furlough days.
Wait a minute. So they got letters today?
Today, 11
that they
furlough
are
days.
going to have to be furloughed
For
in your
days.
district.
That's
air
right.
traffic controllers.
I believe all the air traffic controllers got that letter today.
So this is not about whether the sequester hurt or not. These are letters, furloughs, and layoffs that are happening.
They had to sign for them, Reverend Dow. They had to sign for those letters acknowledging that they were going to have to take 11 furlough days. If folks don't think if these Republicans don't think that that is going to affect air traffic and the travel ability of Americans, to say nothing of the fact that we've added probably 2 hours as a result of Customs and Border Patrol overtime
the lines, yeah.
shrinking. In Miami International just last week, it went from a wait of an hour to a wait of 3 hours for incoming international flights.
No, and the reason I wanted to do this, I'm not trying to be a doomsday guy here, but I keep watching all these stories like this doesn't matter. And then when you outline the teachers and the special ed teachers and all in your district.
That's right.
And they're talking about tours, people that are just going to walk around the White House. I mean, it is insulting to the American people's intellect to act like this is what we're worried about.
Insensitive, insulting, and completely unnecessary. What we need to do is come to the table, as President Obama has been pushing them to do. He's reached out. He's had dinners with Republicans. He had lunch with Paul Ryan at the White House at the end of last week.
He's even gone to the Hill.
He's coming to all 4 caucuses and conferences this week in the House and the Senate. So the outreach is ongoing from President Obama. Democrats are willing to sit down and hammer out. We know it's not going to be all our way. We need to take the sequester and replace it. It takes a meat axe approach to budget cuts. Replace it with targeted, responsible spending cuts. Balance it with closing tax loopholes that benefit the wealthy, make that system more fair, and apply that to deficit reduction.
Now, let me show you something else that bothers me, Congresswoman. The current jobless rate is 7.7%. Right. But the Wall Street Journal, certainly no liberal paper, the Wall Street Journal has calculated what the rate would be without cuts to the public sector. Jobless rate without government cuts, the cuts the Republicans want, would be at 7.1%. And we'd have 950,000 more jobs in the U.S. economy. This is the Wall Street Journal. If we didn't have these cuts they want to the public sector, where a lot of impoverished communities, that's where they work, in the public sector.
That's right.
We'd have 950,000 more jobs and unemployment would be down to 7.1%. I mean, how can they argue for cuts in the agenda when nearly 1 million jobs is at stake here?
Government jobs have been shrinking. If you notice month to month when the jobs numbers come out, the private sector jobs we're adding to.
Right.
The reason that you have fewer net jobs is because of the month-to-month losses in government jobs that have been shrinking.
Exactly. Where do you see this going?
Well, I know that President Obama and congressional Democrats are going to continue to reach out to Republicans. You know, we need to reach past the paralyzed Republican leadership who really are just more beholden to holding on to their own power than they are to actually working with President Obama and getting this done. So hopefully we're going to be able to build our relationships and close the trust deficit a little bit more between Republicans and Democrats and try to reach a compromise, because I think we can reach compromise. It is still possible. We are very polarized, but to continue to allow these kinds of cuts to impact real people is irresponsible. And over the short term and eventually the long term, this is going to cut and hurt people deeply.
Well, Congresswoman, Madam Chair Lady, me and you all right?
Absolutely.
Well, do me a favor. When y'all get in the room, don't just argue about the tours. Get some jobs for people and some real services.
I promise.
We can take a tour later.
We got our priorities straight.
Congresswoman Wasserman Schultz, thanks for your time tonight.